What would you do if your ex-husband bought the mansion next door and erected a $7,000 statue facing your bedroom window? Most people would call the police. Some would move. Others might plot revenge. But what if I told you this wasn't about revenge at all? Have you ever wondered if the person who hurt you most could actually become the catalyst for your greatest transformation? Because tech millionaire Trenton Caldwell was about to prove that sometimes our deepest wounds can birth our most powerful purpose. When Trenton's highly publicized divorce from college sweetheart Noelle Preston became tabloid gold, everyone expected him to disappear, lick his wounds, maybe buy a yacht and sail away from a mess. Instead, he did something that shocked his entire community and sparked conversations that are still happening today. This isn't just about a bitter divorce or a wealthy man's midlife crisis. This is about what happens when pain transforms into purpose, when private struggles become public healing. If you've ever struggled to let go of past hurts or wondered how forgiveness really works in the real world, hit that like button, because what Trenton did next changed everything. Trenton Caldwell had everything money could buy, except the one thing he wanted most: peace. The divorce hadn't just ended his marriage. It had become a public spectacle. Luxury cars divided down the middle. Multi-million-dollar homes split between lawyers. Social circles choosing sides like a high school breakup, except the stakes were headlines in Forbes and whispers at country club dinners. Noelle Preston, his college sweetheart turned ex-wife, had handled the chaos with grace that only made Trenton's bitterness burn brighter. While she moved into her stately home with quiet dignity, he was left wrestling with a question that kept him awake at night. How do you rebuild when everyone's watching your foundation crumble? Most wealthy men in his position would disappear to Monaco or buy a penthouse in Manhattan. Fresh start, clean slate, new zip code. Trenton chose differently. He bought the sprawling mansion directly next door to Noelle's house. The neighborhood buzzed with speculation. Reporters camped outside. Real estate agents fielded calls from curious buyers wanting to know the backstory. Social media exploded with theories, ranging from stalking to some elaborate reconciliation plot. But Trenton wasn't thinking about public opinion or media narratives. Drop a comment below. Have you ever made a decision that everyone questioned, but deep down you knew was right for your healing? Because what Trenton was planning would surprise everyone, including himself. Within weeks, something extraordinary began happening. The statue became a pilgrimage site for people Trenton never expected. Mothers who'd lost children to violence left flowers at its base. Former addicts in recovery traced their fingers along the inscription during morning walks. Teenagers from the local high school started using "We rise by lifting others" in their graduation speeches. Local charities began printing the phrase on T-shirts and fundraising materials. The community center across town painted it as a mural. 3 different churches incorporated it into their Sunday sermons, each finding their own interpretation of what it meant to turn suffering into service. But the real transformation was happening inside Trenton himself. The man who once dominated boardrooms through intimidation started asking different questions in his business meetings. Instead of, how do we crush the competition? It became, how do we create opportunities for people society has written off? Trenton partnered with Marcus's reentry program, not just as a donor, but as an employer. His tech company became the first in the region to actively hire formerly incarcerated individuals, providing training programs and mentorship opportunities that other companies called too risky. He funded coding boot camps in underserved communities, sponsored legal clinics for people who couldn't afford representation during their appeals process, started a foundation focused on restorative justice, not just helping victims heal, but helping offenders rebuild their lives in meaningful ways. The media narrative shifted completely. Instead of bitter divorcee's public tantrum, headlines read, "Tech Millionaire's Second Chance Initiative Creates Hundreds of Jobs." But perhaps the most powerful moment came 6 months later, when Noelle gave her first and only public interview about the statue. "I used to think forgiveness was about forgetting," she said, sitting gracefully in her garden. Trenton's statue visible in the background. But watching what that message has become in our community taught me something different. Forgiveness isn't about the past. It's about what you build with your future. She paused, looking directly at the camera. Sometimes a message meant for one person becomes a gift for many. Sometimes the end of one story creates space for 1,000 new beginnings. The interviewer asked if she and Trenton had reconciled. Noelle smiled. We found something better than reconciliation. We found purpose. Here's what makes this story different from every other divorce drama you've heard. This wasn't about winning or losing. It wasn't about who got the bigger house or the better lawyer. Trenton and Noelle discovered something most people never learn. The difference between healing and revenge is what you do with your pain when nobody's watching. How many of us hold on to hurt like it's precious? How many relationships have we written off because forgiveness feels like giving up, like letting someone get away with something? But what if forgiveness isn't about them at all? What if it's about what you become when you stop carrying their weight? Trenton could have spent his millions on therapy, exotic vacations, or a new wife half his age. Instead, he invested in becoming the person his pain was meant to create. He turned his breakdown into other people's breakthroughs. That's the real power move. When your ex betrays you, you could plot revenge, or you could mentor someone else through betrayal. When your business partner cheats you, you could sue them into oblivion, or you could create opportunities for people who've never had a fair shot at success. When life breaks your heart, you could build walls, or you could build bridges. The question isn't whether you've been hurt. We all have. The question is whether your hurt will hurt others, or whether it will heal them. What would your $7,000 statement be? What message would you put in your front yard for the whole world to see? What pain in your life is waiting to become someone else's breakthrough? Subscribe for more stories of real people turning their greatest challenges into their greatest contributions. Because your breakthrough might be exactly what someone else needs to see. Today, that 7-foot black marble statue still stands on Trenton's front lawn, weathering seasons and witnessing stories. Visitors from 3 states have made pilgrimages to see it. Wedding parties stop to take photos beside its message of hope. High school students write essays about what "we rise by lifting others" means to their generation. Trenton and Noelle still live next door to each other. They're not together, but they're not enemies either. They become something rarer. 2 people who loved, lost, and learned to love differently. That $7,000 investment in healing has generated millions in hope, thousands in second chances, and countless moments of grace between strangers who needed to believe that broken doesn't mean worthlessness. Sometimes the end of one story really is the beginning of something even more beautiful. Watch this next story about another person who turned their private struggle into public strength.